I'm Lorraine Sommerfeld, and this is the Lemonade Car Show. Today we're discussing OMVIC, protecting the rights of consumers. And also our resident mechanic will answer any car-related questions for you in our Ask a Mechanic segment. Lemonade is brought to you by OMVIC, that's Ontario's vehicle sales regulator, and we're produced by the Automobile Protection Association. The APA fights for you, the consumer, and provides information and news on all parts of the industry. Visit our website at apa.ca or reach us by phone at 416-204-1444. Joining me today is Giorgini, he's the president of the APA, and Terry O'Keefe, he's the Director of Communications for OMVIC. We'll be taking your calls this evening at 888-764-3778. Welcome back to the show, Terry.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to have you here in our new digs.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice.
New half of the season. And again, thank you to OMVIC for all the great work you do for the show as well as for consumers.
Well, and thank you to you and to Rogers and to the APA as well for helping educate consumers. It's really important.
Okay, we're just having a love in here.
Yeah,
this is just like everything's fabulous. Okay. Now, when you're here, one of the things I like best is the horror stories you tell us about all the creeps that you've busted. Mm-hmm. And I get all your emails, which just crack me up. What's been going on since you were here last, 2-3 months ago?
Well, probably a couple of the most interesting ones are curbsiders and illegal, unlicensed dealers. They commonly pose as private sellers, but every now and then we'll find them operating from automotive-related businesses. Sometimes people even think they're actually registered dealers. We had one, Mr. Campbell. It's his fourth conviction. He got 50 days in jail. What's interesting about him is most of the cars he sells he buys them at salvage auctions, fixes them up, but doesn't disclose the true history of the car to the consumers. And we actually mystery shopped him, and our investigations team went out and looked at a Jeep that he was selling, and this was an expensive one. This was a $15,000 Jeep. And he said, oh, great car, and here's the CarProof for the car, no accidents there.
So the CarProof was bogus?
There was a page missing.
That's a common trick we found in some markets, where they, particularly in BC, even registered dealers will leave out one page. It's like 9 pages long. You're not going to count them, so they leave out the page with the claim on it.
But maybe we should. Like, what should...
Often, it's so hard to do, really. The answer is to order your own. Yeah. Unfortunately, you'd rather not, because the idea is why spend the money if someone else already paid for it.
How much is a CarProof? $30, something?
A little more, yeah. It's probably worth getting your own.
Yeah, I agree with George completely. If I was going to, especially buying a car privately, I'm going to buy my own CarProof report, make sure that the information is there. I mean, we've seen situations where odometer information has been, they've scanned the CarProof into a computer, removed the odometer information, and then printed it out again, and the car's got a rollback odometer. So CarProof reports can be a very, very good tool. They can tell you a lot about the history of that vehicle. But if it's an unscrupulous seller who's presenting it to you and you won't know, the safest bet is to buy your own.
Okay, the other thing we always recommend is that somebody takes the car to their own mechanic to have a once-over. Is your own mechanic going to see that 2 cars have been welded together or whatever the salvage has been?
Maybe not.
Okay, that was...
what we found, and APA recommends an inspection before you buy, but not everybody has the training. And sometimes people doing the inspection really only look for service work that they can do. So they might tell you, they'll look carefully at the brakes or suspension or steering because they work on those areas of the car. But they might simply not miss collision history, even if it's staring at them in the face. I think if the car is 2 half cars, I mean, that's extreme. I think that would be picked up. But you could have a car with, say, a major claim, and nobody would tell you. And when we've asked repair shops, why don't you tell us? They say, we don't do body work. It's not our job to tell you, even if we saw it. We don't want to be responsible for it. That would be okay if you knew that going in. Sometimes you don't.
I had somebody write to me and say that after they bought a used car, it was about 6 months later, and somebody told them that it was 2 cars had been put together. And they said, how did this happen? I said, that's salvage. Like somebody has been, playing Legos with the car, and you bought it. And they said, now what do I do? I went,
If they bought it privately, there's very little they could do. If they bought it from a dealer, that consumer would absolutely have rights and recourse.
Okay.
Dealers must disclose if a vehicle is a salvage vehicle. And if they don't, it actually triggers rescission rights for that consumer. But when you're buying privately, all the laws, all those consumer protection laws that OMVIC enforces, they don't apply if you buy privately. Or if you buy from a business that you thought was a dealership, and it turns out it's actually not, again, the laws, those protections don't apply. So buying privately, you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to do extra work. You've got to get that inspection done. A pre-purchase inspection is often, it's going to find things that either the seller didn't disclose, or in some instances the seller didn't even know was wrong with the vehicle. And that'll give you the opportunity to either say, this isn't for me, or to renegotiate the deal. You know, maybe I'll still buy that car, but it's for less because I'm going to have to do repairs. Pre-purchase inspection is really, really important when you're buying privately.
Okay, let me ask you this. We've had a lot of discussions lately because some cars are written off by insurance, and you look at them and they look fine because it's just the bags that went off, or because the cars themselves just aren't worth having the work done, especially for some of the safety stuff that can be toasted when they're crashed.
A theft recovery where it took them a while to find the vehicle, and so the original owner was already paid off. That's another similar case as well.
So if we've got cars that have been written off, they don't follow the usual chain to be resold. They have to be branded as problem child, supposed to be. How do they end up in the mix? How do we end up facing this? How do we protect ourselves from this? And why are people still buying them?
In Ontario, we have a branding program. Every car in this province is branded. Somebody at home might be thinking, my car's not branded, nothing's ever happened to it. That car actually has the brand. If you look at the ownership, it'll say brand none. And all that brand none means is that the car's never been written off. There's three other. The first one is going to be irreparable. It means the car suffered damage so severe it can be used for nothing other than parts. Then you have salvage. And that means the car has been declared a total loss by an insurance company, and it's been reported as a written-off vehicle. That car can go back on the road. It's going to have to be repaired, undergo 2 inspections, a regular safety inspection and a structural inspection. And when that happens, the brand will be changed to rebuilt. And now that car can be plated. And that's what we're seeing with these curbsiders. They're buying salvage cars, fixing them up, getting inspections, often bogus, change the brand to rebuilt, and then they're able to sell them to unsuspecting consumers.
Sometimes also, if the place the primary business isn't a dealership, but it's a towing company or a body shop, most likely if you're buying a used car from a body shop, there's a reason why.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, people don't think though. And sometimes you would think it's a dealership because it looks legitimate, and yet what they might actually not, they might be a licensed business but not licensed to sell cars.
So if somebody goes into a shop, what should they be looking for? What do you suggest when someone walks in? What sticker, starting with sticker on the door?
I'm in a body shop with 3 or 4 cars to sell on the apron outside and front.
Yeah, the very first thing you want to do is go to OMVIC's website, omvic.ca, top right corner of every web page, find a dealer. Search, find out if they're registered. Every dealership and salesperson has to be registered and licensed with OMVIC in this province. If they're not, they're curbsiders. Walk away and please report them. And of course, the other thing that you can do is ask to see their OMVIC license. By law, they have to present it, show it to you. And if they can't, exact same thing. Walk away.
What does it look like?
You're going to make me pull one out, are you?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Like, is it something you post in the shop, or?
Well, there would be a business one, but every salesperson is going to have their own. And I think I actually have a sample one here. Here, George, I'll let you take that.
That's it?
Yep. It would actually have their name and the name of the dealership on it.
So it's for real. Yeah, the OMVIC logo's on it.
Yeah, it's got the OMVIC logo on it. It would have their name, the dealership that they're registered to. Wow. And every salesperson in this province has to have one, and by law, carry it with them when they're working, and anyone can ask to see it.
So this should, frankly, this step, the very first one you should take, should stop everything cold.
Yep.
Period. So all the calls we take and all the letters you get a lot more than I do. Everything should be stopped cold right at that. Let me see your OMVIC license, or are you registered with OMVIC?
Yeah. And yet, we just had a curbsider conviction in Ottawa. It appeared to be a dealership, and again, associated with a body shop. And this gentleman was fined $40,000. And when our investigator began the investigation, he actually went to him and said, you know, I'm from OMVIC, and you know you're not supposed to be selling these vehicles. And he acknowledged that he already knew this. And the next month, he sold 28 more cars.
So he's really good at this.
And that's and so he actually ended up with 29 charges under the Motor Vehicle Dealers Act and 30 under the Consumer Protection Act.
He should go to jail. The Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by OMVIC, Ontario's motor vehicle sales regulator, returns after this short break. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls, 888-764-3778.